Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Thank you for coming today. As a first question, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. I'm Jean-Paul Schirle. I came here to do my study many years ago in food science as a flavor chemist, because my flavor chemist, and did a lot of work in flavor, and now I work with the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, and I do a lot of mass spectrometry and herbicide and pesticide analysis. That's pretty much what I do.
Thank you. And you're originally from France.
Yes.
What are some key foods for you and your family and how they're prepared? Could you share maybe a little bit of your life story?
Yeah. I grew up mainly in Burgundy in foster care, but after that I experienced a little more about my own family food that was from Alsace, because my whole family is coming from Alsace. In Burgundy...
May I just ask, Jean-Paul, where is the Burgundy and where is the Alsace?
Yeah. Burgundy is where Dijon is, and you probably all know about mustard from Dijon. It's southeast of Paris, and it's much more rural, and Alsace is on the east of France, close to Germany, very close to Germany. In fact, the people from Alsace speak a Germanic language, and they can understand German. German have a harder time to understand Alsatian, but it is a completely different culture. Actually, food, architecture, everything is completely different from Paris and from Burgundy, where I grew up. So,
could you share me some examples of the foods from the Burgundy and the foods from the Alsace?
Food and where I grew up, we had a lot of homemade food. I mean, that was really homemade vegetables. We had vegetables every day, some kind of pasta, rice, and every day we had some cheeses, some wonderful cheeses. They were the one that I remember the most are Époisse, Chaours. Of course, we had Camembert, but those were really the one of the staple of our meals every day there in Burgundy. The food that is Alsace actually is much richer. You have a lot of charcuterie, which is sausages. Choucroute is really typical. If you go to Strasbourg, you'll get choucroute that is very loaded in pork, meat, and of course sauerkraut. And very rich desserts, big cakes, and kugelhopfs, coffee cakes.
You will tell us about that at the end? Great.
About that. But very different in terms of flavor that you experience in Burgundy and in Alsace. It's a very different.
Can you highlight what are those flavor differences?
Well, since you have much more fatty food, in Alsace versus Burgundy. Burgundy, you may have some sausages, some dry sausages from time to time, or summer sausages, but it was much more, let's say, fresh. And we had also salads every day. I don't remember when I went to Alsace to meet my father over there. Salads were not really, we had some greens, but crudités were not really there. It was definitely much richer. What I mean richer, like that liver wurst, that is a sausage made of liver pâté. That's what I mean about richness, that was very meaty. In Burgundy, we did have some pâté, some head cheese, they call, and some terrine, which are country pâté.
Yes.
But that was not the main portion of the dish. It seemed to me that every single time I go to Alsace, it's really very fatty, very rich, and all those both desserts and main dishes are made with something that is not good for you.
But very tasty. Thank you for highlighting these cultural differences and food culture difference between the Alsace and the Burgundy. How many meals would you typically eat every day? Is that different, or is that in the two regions, or how would that look like? What is the food pattern?
Was the same. Actually, the food pattern was the same, and we ate 3 times a day. breakfast before going to school, actually. We had a lunch and we had a dinner, and that was it. You ate at those meals and you didn't eat in between.
No snacking.
If you were there the weekend, sometime you had a 4 p.m.
Yes.
Snack, le goûter.
Yes.
But otherwise, there was no snacking.
Okay, that's a big difference with the United States.
Oh yes, there was never any snacking.
Coming back to these meals, how important in your culture is it to eat with other people?
Extremely important. Yeah, we always, and it takes, every time I go over there, that what I get from all the Americans that are brought over there, it takes forever to eat if you are eating with people, because we have always talk. And it's very important, those exchanges every day. Lunch and dinner. We take a long time because we love to chat over things, otherwise we are gone in our little corner during the rest of the day and we don't know what the other one are doing. And even now, when I go back to France, Alsace or Burgundy or Paris now, same thing. It's important for us to eat together and actually to prepare the dinner together, either to prepare the meals together. That's really fun. So it's very important.
And in a typical lunch or a typical dinner, do you have multiple courses?
We always have multiple courses. We always have what we call an entrée, that's an appetizer here, a main dish, a salad, and a dessert with or without cheese.
Yes.
Always, and both lunch and dinner. We have those things.
Yes.
Sometimes dinner can be a little simpler, with like a soup and a cheese and a fruit or dessert at the end, but there's always several. So small portions of different variety of foods.
And one of the characteristics, you take your cheeses and your salad actually after your main course.
Exactly. Yes. Always after. It's not the first thing.
First the salads and then the cheeses.
Yes. First we take, first salad, then cheeses, then desserts. Yes, always. Yes.
Thank you. Are there specific rules that you want to see respected in setting the tables for these meals?
That when we set the tables, I mean, there's always, the way we put the in my family, the way you put the fork and knives, and we always have fork, knife, spoon, and usually you use the fork for certain things. You don't use the spoon for everything, even though that spoon is more practical. Mm-hmm. It's not really, it's kind of a rule. It's not looked bad, but you look kind of little off when you use your spoon to eat the wrong food. So yes, there are some rules. Some other rules, and like my foster mom was really, really up on that, is you eat with your mouth closed. You don't make noise when you don't speak with your mouth full. Those were things that were very important, and you can speak, but you finish what you have in your mouth before you speak, and you don't make that noise when you eat.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to the next topic. We know that food and religion are intertwined. Mm-hmm. In your food culture, is religion important? Does it impact your food choices?
At least not in my immediate family, and even in my culture. I was working for families that were very Christian, for instance, and there was not really anything that was imposed upon the person coming in, and there was nothing different. And clearly, even if you think about now going to Easter and all the Lent period, as far as I remember, there was nothing that was influencing the food that we ate in all those places where I was.
Thank you for sharing. And then celebrations. Are there specific foods associated with specific celebrations in France or in the Burgundy or in the Alsace?
Yes, Easter and Christmas and New Year's. I mean, those are the three. I remember that Easter was pretty much la dinde, and as well for New Year's Eve. I cannot remember what was Easter, but that was literally laden, which is the turkey, with chestnuts. And quite often those chestnuts have been preserved in sugar, marron glacé. So you always have steamed chestnut and chestnut that have been preserved into sugar are very, very big. But that was the main meat. And you could have potatoes that were steamed or sliced with it, and vegetables, obviously always vegetable, asparagus or green beans. There's always vegetables in all the meal that you eat, always, always, always. Of course, la bûche de Noël, which is the Christmas log, and that's either a cake or frozen.
Yes.
When we were kids, we always wanted frozen, but were surprised when one day it became like a big cake. But those were really very specific. And Easter, you have all those little eggs and chocolate. This is really, really big in chocolate. But I cannot remember actually the actual meal we had for Easter. But it had to be fairly specific. It was a big celebration.
Yes. Thank you. You're living since many years in the Twin Cities, Jean-Paul. What are some of the major changes in your food or your food habits that you experienced here?
Well, I really fought against any changes, and actually I still fight it. I still have my 3 meals a day. One of the main difference actually is I'm eating a little earlier at night than I used to, because in France when I go there, I was there 3 weeks ago, we eat our last meal around 8 p.m. Here I eat it around 6 because I want to do some activities afterwards that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. But I fought very much to not buy any processed food. So I still get a lot of my vegetables and the meat that I cook. Very little processed food comes into the house. I still have my 3 meals a day, and I still have my little crudité at the beginning, my main meal, my salad, and my dessert. I always keep that. So there's not much changes for me.
And you also didn't engage in snacking here, because we're very strong on that in the United States?
No, I don't snack. I really don't snack. Maybe when I come back from work, I take 1 or 2 fruits or what do you call the nuts that I love, nuts. But otherwise, I'm trying not to snack. No, I really keep on. No, I don't like to snack.
And the foods and ingredients that you need for your cooking, you find well here in the Twin Cities?
We find them, yet a very big difference is the flavor quality is well below what I have in Europe. I could go long on that topic, but yes, this is a big difference. Try to make the same meal that we have in France, and it is very different. But I still try to get fresh food and fresh meals.
Okay, thank you. Last question relates to that utensil that you brought. Could you explain the role and why it's so significant for you?
This is the mold of a kugelhof. A kugelhof is a very traditional cake, bread, coffee cake in Alsace, where my family is from. And before I went to foster care, I remember my sister making that every Sunday, and that was a wonderful, a little like panettone in Italy, a little dancer. But that's a bread with eggs and with raisins in it, and that's really that's really cooked a long time and smells wonderful. And for a kid like me, and I have a very sweet tooth, that was something that I really loved. And one particularity of that mold is, as you can see, it's kind of a little dirty inside, but when you're done cooking, you don't clean it. You never wash it. And basically you leave it dirty until it's very dry. So leave it dirty until next time you use it. And you remove the flour and butter that is in, you clean it up with a towel, then you re-butter it, put back the flour on top of the butter, and put back your dough in, let it rise, and put that in the oven. And when you unmold it, same thing, you don't clean it and keep it for next time. And I love it because that reminds me those few years that I had good memories. And my twin brother actually has those molds coming from my great aunt.
Wow.
And they are 100 years old and they have never been washed. This one is much newer, as you can see. My brothers are kind of a little black outside, but they are very typical from that area, and that reminds me that wonderful time of my life. So I love to have it and bake in it.
Yes. And you would eat these kugelhopf typically on that in the weekend at 4 p.m. or so?
Yeah, because when you make it, it's not something you make in an hour. It's something that really has to rise. So I usually mix the dough one day. I have making my pre-ferment first, then I mix the dough, let it rise, bake it, then the Sunday I can eat it. So I usually do that on Saturdays.
Thank you, Jean-Paul, for your insights in the French food culture and the diversity of the French food culture in the various regions. And thank you very much for being our guest here.
You're welcome.